Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 270. Today we're doing battle with Leona Diana. And so as we mentioned in our previous video as we played Leona Katarina, I do intend to kind of take a peek at some of the Leona decks over the next few videos as we are approaching what should be a big patch before the Last Chance Gauntlet. And so the reason I started kind of shifting over into these was if you took a peek over at the Runeterra AR, sorted by the win rate, you were starting to see a lot of Leona decks spike their way up to the top. And so decks like Fiora Leona, you might want to take with a grain of salt as they don't have particularly large set of matches, but if you look towards things like Katarina and Aphelios, these decks appear to be the real deal as they've got a few thousand matches under their belts. And so it makes sense to me as we looked at a deck like Aatrox Vayne and its ability to just naturally draw the best mid-game card in the game in Aatrox, and then Aatrox generating the best late-game card in the game in the World Ender. It really did just kind of shut decks out like Leona that did have a pretty powerful mid-rangey strategy, but they couldn't compete with everything that was just tied into that Aatrox package. And so now that we look towards things like Diana and Aphelios and the Shadow Isles package, these are more kind of mid-rangey kind of decks. They can thrive in the format without Aphelios running around, and I do want to mention that they are quite different from the Katarina versions, given that they are much more mid-rangey. I would certainly classify the Katarina Noxus version as being an aggro deck. So in terms of this deck, especially in comparison to the previous video with Katarina, this deck looks to take two strategies and then merge those into two other strategies. And so you can kind of call part one of the game strategy part A and part B. Are going to be trying to control the early game board. And ideally, you'll either have a big Daybreak draw to where you're chaining the Solari soldiers into a Twilight Protector, into a Sun Guardian, into whatever big boy. Got a kitty trying to make her way around into a big boy like Leona or Ravoon, or you have a Diana based game plan to where you're looking to get some quick attack challenges and control the board regardless of what your opponent's putting down. And so the end result of both strategies, whether or not you're just adding big Daybreak units or you're getting some profitable quick attack challenges with your Diana and also with your Moonlit Glenkeeper, is you just want to have a bunch of dudes on the board. Part B, once you assemble your squad, your width, your collection of bros, you're going to look to end the game with either a big Leona combo to where she's able to stun two or three of the opposing units, and then you're able to just value your way through the game from there. And so you can say chunk in like 8 damage, kill a unit with Diana, kill a unit with Leona, and from that point your opponent ideally can't recover. Or more commonly, you're just going to end the game, excuse me, with the Winding Light. And so what you should be kind of looking towards in every game is not so much making trades, right? Trades were something that we were pretty okay to do with the Katarina version, given that we could kind of come in and refill the board and then finish the games off with burn. We need to kind of scratch that strategy a little bit and get in our head that, okay, we're going to be building up towards the Winding Light. And so you want to just get your big boys down, load up that board, and then give them all the big overwhelms to hopefully finish off the game. And so the last kind of thing to call out with this is we do have a nice collection of spells. A lot of things that you ran into with the Katarina version of this deck, you just kind of ran out of stuff to do. But here with the full 3 sets of Pale Cascade, the 3 Unto Dusks, the 2 Unspeakable Horrors, we have a lot of ways just to spend the mana in the mid game to where we would kind of start to hurt playing the Katarina deck. And so that's it. That's what we'll be doing battle with today. Let's go ahead and jump on in. And so I will go ahead and say it may look slightly different out here today. We aren't particularly partaking in Masters right now, and this is my second account. I'm trying to get this account leveled up so that we can have some another way to play games, as we might want to camp the main account on some LP. And so I've currently got the main FTP Bust account up around 250 LP. I'm going to try and get it up to around 300 or so today, and then hopefully sit in that space to where you can 7 and 2 seasonals and make the top cut. So you're going to start to see this account with a little bit more frequency. I don't really care, during the early parts of the season. I'm not going to try and get to the front page of the ladder and then just camp the rating. But I do want to potentially leave the current one where it is, so that we can still have some activities with this set over here. And now this is an interesting set. I was really looking to say, like, bank the mana this turn and then quick attack challenge our Diana next turn, but Annie Jin is the real, like, in-your-face aggro-style deck, and I'm kind of leaning towards just putting the Solari Soldier on the board, trying to convince our opponent that this one damage attack just isn't worth it. And so, looks like it paid off here. We can still add in Diana. An opponent shouldn't have a ton of ways to stop her. We might get an attack in this round. I'm fine to attack into the Boom Crew rookie here. We should probably just send everybody, actually. I'd like to be able to take the rookie down in combat next turn, if we can. But if he's out here just open attacking, that feels like a gigantic win for Team Bust. Not going for it. Okay. Still got a lot of good blocks out here. If he does attack with the rookie, we can throw a 2-2 in front of it and then look to take it down with Diana next turn. Okay. Getting all those non-combat damages in. It's tough, man. It's tough. Alright, but we should be able to take some of these units down this turn. He has Jin in his hand, and oh, what an absolutely perfect draw in the Glenkeeper. It's going to let us drop the Heavens Aligned, activate the Daybreak on the Sun Guardian, give us a fresh card. We can add in the Glenkeeper. It's going to activate our Diana. It's going to give us a free Challenger Sapling here, and we should be able to really start taking this one down now. We even have a stun for next turn in the Cloven Way if we want. Looking pretty good, pretty strong. Sure. Now, hopefully, we can survive this a little bit. A lot of the versions of the Diana deck do look to play Doom Beast. It gives you a little bit of sustainability in the face of decks like Annie Jin or Pirates or whatnot. But I might be a little bit biased given a lot of the Masters play that I've been doing over the past few days, to where just an absolute glut of Seraphine running around right now, and so I'm kind of on board with the less Doom Beasty, more more grindy kind of strategy. But looks good. He might be able to deal like 3 damage to us between the Jin and the Boom Crew rookie, and we're getting shutdowns on everything else. Looks like we can win with just the open attack next turn. Alright, so here we go. We're going to drop the Unto Dusk. Give us a little bit of Nightfall, say LOL. Your dudes can't block. We'll go ahead and slam in. We can... Oh, I thought we were going to be able to flip our Diana here if we needed to, but... It should be pretty tough for him to get around. He has to, like, specifically draw Nox and Fervor to try and get out of that one. There we go. GG. Mark it a W for Bust. Good. Seeing gold. Gold sounds way better than Masters anyways, right? Sounds way better than Platinum. I don't know why Platinum's bigger than Gold. Same with Diamonds. Gold's just worth way more, right? I'll trade you all my gold for all your diamonds, because I'm not gonna check the prices or anything. I just assume the shinier thing is worth more. It's the way things work in life. I've been actually, fairly impressed with the decks running around in the lower stages. I don't know how Riot does it in terms of setting up these kind of early game matches. I was really kind of worried that as I was kind of like loading through bronze and through silver, that it was just going to be smashing a bunch of people with no collections, but it hasn't been the case whatsoever. I've been really surprised in the quality of the decks that we've been up against, and so I assume that it's just a lot of people that don't have the time to grind a bunch of games, but since it's so free-to-play friendly, you get a lot of opportunities to just build up the collection. Yeah, I was like, this is gonna be just a big dumb waste of time where it's like a bunch of, you feel kind of bad if you go and you like queue into your opponent and they have like six champions in their deck and they're clearly out here just free to playing to the best of their ability. And I'm glad that we get to play against some of the real decks out here. All right, looking pretty good here, though. We can look to Daybreak the Twilight Protector if we want, or we can spread out the Nightfall across all of our units. I mean, probably got to look to spread the Nightfall out. I don't suspect that opponent's going to get a lot of big units on the board, so let's lead off with the Night and Day thing. Drop in the Twilight Protector as a Nightfall. The Nightfall bonus with the Protector is permanent, so all of our units are going to stay strong here. Now we can hopefully get some good quick attack challenges with Diana. Well, maybe those won't be coming in so soon, but our attacks are still good. We still have a Twilight Affliction next turn to interact with the Blade Twirler, interact with whatever elusives that they put forth. I think we'll be looking decent. Sad day for our bird friends. I could tell you tried your hardest, bird friends, but it just didn't pan out for you today. All right, nice addition with Leona. Oh, cool. Yasuo comes in, so he's just kind of gonna be starved for mana this turn. You could have a Guile. Like, if he has a Guile for Diana, that's not gonna be awesome, but I think we're gonna look strong now. Comes Daybreak number 4 with our Solari. The Bulwark against Darkness. Man, I gotta get used to all these new images. We've been we shelled out for the expensive JPEGs and we've been playing with all the Battle Academias, but now life's a little bit harder. Gotta look at all these new pictures and figure everything out. Okay, though, so the thing to worry about here is going to be a big strike or stun coming in from Yasuo. I'm worried about it a little bit, right? Because he's definitely got the Steel Tempest in hand, and so I don't entirely remember how the sequencing works with Yasuo. I think he needs his next one will be the strike, right? I don't think this current one is the strike attack. So let's see what we can do here. Let's add in the Doom Beast. We'll still look to hook in Yasuo. And I assume that he's just going to Steel Tempest our Diana, which will be okay.
Our light grows brighter. I cannot turn back. I will be heard.
I think she only takes 2 damage here, right? The thing we're going to be looking to build up to is, of course, the Winding Light. Okay, right. It's going to be the next Yasuo stun is going to be the full strike. But you know, we have the Winding Light in hand. We have a the Nightfall booster thing to go with it, whatever this dumb card is called, so we can activate our Winding Light twice if we want. We just need to get into the next turn with as much width as we can, and we should be in a fairly decent space. Our AP Leona. We can just take it. The thing I'm curious with this deck is if it's actually playing, something like Nox and Fervor. I don't think that they do, so I'm just going to be a little bit greedy here and just go ahead and take all of this damage, and see if we can't take down a victory next turn. We can widen out the board with the Solari Sunhawks and then try and Winding Light them down. It's a little danger, you know. They do have all the stuns. We're not really guaranteed to come in for a massive amount of damage next turn, but this is the way I'm looking at it. It's the way I think we can do it. So there's a Steel Tempest in hand. Kind of nasty. think we're going to be hurting here. All right, Ravoon, not quite what we're looking for. You're just a little bit too expensive. Oh, Cascade's a reasonable addition, though. Can potentially make usage of it here.
Find your path in the dark and follow no false light.
But see, this is a little scary, right, as we try to make these attacks in. He's definitely got a stun in the Steel Tempest. You know, it's not going to be surprising to see something like Concussive Palm come in. So we're definitely a little worried with this attack actually being successful. But let's give it a shot, right? Can't just give up. Always feels the worst losing to Yasuo. We talk so much trash about Yasuo that it feels bad when the losses come in. No respect for him whatsoever. Just a pure garbage deck. But even the garbage decks can have a 20% win rate. If you want to see something with the gigantic win rate failing, that was beautiful last night. If anyone watched the football playoffs, I don't hate the Chargers. I just don't like them. You know, I feel like a lot of their players are dirty, and then a lot of them are you know, right, approaching the era of piece of shit. You know, like it's one thing to be kind of like questionably dirty. I feel like some of them are kind of like actively dirty, and then once you kind of get away from the cuteness of Justin Herbert, if you will, I'm not a huge fan of them. They've been a bit of a rival for the Chiefs for quite a while, and so. The absolute incredible meltdown of the San Diego, well, against the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, the absolute meltdown of the team last night was just fucking beautiful. I I loved every minute of it, and so I don't know how to put it into like the parlance of other games, but it was basically like they were just so super far ahead. They were up 24-0 for a large portion of the game, 24-7 at halftime. And then they completely melted down and lost to the Jaguars. It was my favorite. Interesting with the conservatory. Oh, it's Jen Swain. I thought this was Annie Jen again. I like the kind of meme comment on the game that it was just Trevor Lawrence playing against himself. Trevor Lawrence throwing 4 interceptions in the first quarter, giving the opponent the massive lead, and then Trevor Lawrence orchestrating the comeback in the second half. It's a thing of beauty. And so I'm glad I stuck around for it. Like typically with games like that, you just kind of give up on it and go away. But that one, I was just sitting around grinding on the ladder, so I left it turned on. And man, it was worth it. It was worth it. R.I.P. Diana. Nobody wants you to live today. Sad. Sad day for you. We were looking to have a pretty strong turn on this upcoming turn between playing a Daybreak, probably the Soldier, and then following up the Twilight Protector to give the Diana that challenger. But our hand's kind of a dud without her active and around. So we'll see what we can do. This is the kind of space where it's like I don't really want to be trading these Solari soldiers away. It's just the opponent has the opportunities to... well, I should say we have the opportunity to build up to the Winding Light, and just losing out on our board isn't that great. But if he's going to come out and invest in this marksman, I'm fine to just trade away the soldier. We don't have to crush in a bunch of early aggro damage here like we would with the Katarina version. So we can just build up some dudes. We can hopefully win with the Winding Light. And it's quite a few turns away, right? We're not going to be able to play it until turn 8. Uh-oh. Feel like bad things are about to happen to you, Sun Guardian. You fought your hardest, but I feel like you're about to take a point of damage. Yep. R.I.P.
Gotcha.
This is about to turn bad. We need a lot out of our birds in these upcoming turns.
Tell me where to aim.
But hopefully we can. The opponent is pretty well ground out of cards. We're gonna have to hope that we can that we can kind of come in and just attack around this Tybalak and close out with the birds. Everybody's out here being so mean to the birds.
I never miss.
All right, well, I think we have to stop here. It is a pretty bad sequence for us to where he can drop Tybalak next turn, and then 2 turns from now when we want to Winding Light, he can drop the Naganika. He's going to have the 8 mana to get just the giant dude on board and try and face off against our big board. You know, it's kind of tough to overwhelm through 13 health of unit, but we'll see. We'll see what we can do. We may actually want to just play the Winding Light this turn and look to Moonlit Affliction on the upcoming turn.
I have my
But-
orders.
That's pretty close. Like, he's most certainly adding Tybalak this turn. We don't have to block him, but I'd like to threaten something there, I think. Alright, let's see what turns up. Cygnus is a pretty good deal. He can crush through some defenses. Yeah, we're just too far away from lethal to count on this overwhelm attack to actually do something. Lots of damages coming in, lots of damages. So we probably want to just throw away the Winding Light. It's tough. Like, our units aren't very high quality after this attack. And so, where does this stand? We would take 4 off of him. We're going to be taking 8 in total. And then at the end of the day, he's going to pick up a Darkened Ballista. I think that's okay. Leaving our Winding Light behind, we can try and make a Cygnus attack next turn. Hit in for 11. And then maybe do something with the Moonlit Affliction 2 attacks from now. Gotta find something, right? You gotta find a nugget of corn in the turds here. It's a pretty decent nugget with the Sunhawk if it can stun the Darkened Ballista 2 turns from now or next turn. Like, the Ballista shouldn't be hitting us for lethal though.
Come, tonight we'll bring them to justice. To me.
Alright, get him for 11. The Naganika's gonna fight with the Winding Light. That's okay. It's gonna take us a while to grind this thing down. And I guess, you know, if we're gonna be dropping silences on it next turn, it should cancel out that ability. I don't want to drop silences. I think we need to try and do something with our Moonlit Affliction.
I am the bulwark
But let's see.
darkness.
We got the Bulwark against Darkness. It's always a nice thing to have.
Dawn has
We can look to get double stuns on this upcoming turn. The downside
the sun
with this board is the Cygnus is stronger than Leona. So if the Naganika wants to strike, it's going to get to strike Cygnus and potentially take him down.
but I am ready.
Embrace it. Your adoring public awaits.
Finger on the trigger.
All right, so are we okay with that? I mean, the block here is kind of free. Then let's say we fall down to 3. It is a little worrisome with Jen on board, but he's not going to kill us with the Lotus Trap, right? It only deals 1 damage. So it's like if he picks up a Decimate or a Burn spell, I guess we lose in that sense. But as it stands, we don't quite have enough damage to finish these games off.
Strike while the planets align.
Well, we do have 9 from the Cygnus and the Leona. Okay.
You cannot hold us down.
Maybe it's just too greedy. This is where the real downside comes in, though, is if is with the amount of damage, right? Say we need to hook something with Leona, he plays a unit here, then we're going to be short on damage. Maybe, and we did pick up the Sun Guardian, so that's going to potentially hook in whatever he has, or we can. We picked up enough damage with the Sun Guardian, I should say.
I will give them a show to remember.
How bad is that? How bad is that? We one short? Is that what's about to happen? Oh, and he's stunned as well. Yeah. We would have been short with the dude on board anyways. And so, how do we feel about this? Do we want to take the Jin off of the board? We can still hook Jin with Leona, but then she's going to die to the Naganika at the end of the turn? Or are we willing to have that be a thing? And yeah, we can't. With Jin dealing damage to the Nexus, we can't have that happen. So Leona and Duder over here will fight. Gotta pick up something good, pick up something cool. What do we got? The Winding Light's pretty cool. Hopefully we don't have to play it defensively. Wow. Was not expecting an Ithid Stairs. Alright. GG. But that game, it illustrates a lot of what's the kind of problem we ran into with the Katarina version, where we were just searching for just like a little bit more value. And I was hoping we would get it out of this and having all of the cycle cards like the Unto Dusk and the Pale Cascades, and then using Diana for some early game challenges. But like in that game, it's just like, give me an Eclipse Dragon or something, right? Just give me something that just draws a bunch of cards and lets us spend this mana on something, so we aren't passing on turn 8 or turn 9 with only spending like 3 mana. And I look towards like the Daybreak Invoke in that deck. You have access to both the Daybreak and the Nightfall one with this deck. And so I'm curious if we should like tweak the numbers a little bit, maybe cut out the Moonlit Glenkeeper for just a little bit of value. Because when you run into games like that, it feels like you should just be super far ahead, right? We've ground Jin out of all of his cards, and then we're still getting outvalued by Jin, and it feels feels like we just need a little bit something more expensive.
What do you call that technique? And punch.
All right, well, I call that technique a quick attack challenge with Diana. Let's see if we can finally get one of these going, finally pull one off. Feels like it's been so tough to do.
Hey, Krabby.
Oh, even better.
I will be heard.
Keep running, Kane.
All right, no complaints there. We should definitely be bigger than the sparring student with our Sun Guardian, and then next turn we want to Nightfall down the Glenkeeper and then look to have 2 challenges and a big board. I dig it. I dig it. Do we want to Heavens Aligned or just drop in a Dustbringer? The thing that like I haven't mentioned with the Heavens Aligned is the way it kind of interacts with Ravoon. That is one of the nice ways to pick up a bunch of value, in that if you have Ravoon on the board and you play this second, you do get both the Daybreak and the Nightfall. But I don't think that it's going to come down to that against tokens. let's just go big on board. And so I'm going to add in the Solari Soldier. He's pretty meaty. He'll boost the Sun Guardian, and we can follow up with the Glenkeeper. Try and get some good hooks. Emperor's Diaz is not what opponent's looking for here. I guess you can play... Is there like a 2-mana attack card? Blade Dance? I don't think there is. It's been a while since I've been familiar with tokens.
No more lies. Face your heretic.
But not a bad round. Ready to do some blocking next turn. Got all these big boys on board. So how are we going to go about this? Are we we're going to want like a Nightfall Protector next turn, right? So what I'm leaning towards is let's add in Duskbringer. We'll add in the Crescent Guardian. Just gonna make sure we have this big Overwhelm. And then we can hopefully trade away some of our cheaper plays here. I want to get both the Sunhawk and the Protector on board next turn. Right, he's in this space to where he's got 2 Emperor's Diaz's, and they don't really assist in terms of blocking. And so with the Solari Sunhawk, we should be able to shut down a handful of his cards. Ooh, that's a big old sparring student, though.
You leave me no recourse.
Meet destiny.
Let's leave Diana back. Like, if he has a Shaped Stone, we're going to feel kind of bad about it. Maybe if we lose the Glenkeeper, it's okay. But the back line here is just a little bit too important. Sunward! Alright, so here's our stun. So we'll hopefully just be able to lethal off of this attack. I don't want to have to like pivot and then hook Azir into combat, but I think we're safe for the moment. How much attacks are these? It's not that bad. That was a pretty heavy investment of mana from the opponent. So I'm going to assume that if he didn't have a combat trick last turn, he probably doesn't have one this turn. Maybe we should protect Diana. Like, we're going to have to hook something out of combat here. And if we don't have Diana, that might be a little bit problematic.
They tried to blind me with resplendence, but they could not break me.
So how much we got here? 6, 9, 12, 13, 14? Okay. Let's just go ahead and Nightfall. Make Diana a little bit stronger. So if something does go completely wrong here, she still gets to take down the sparring student. And then we should just be coming in for the lethal. We could add an additional unit to the board. Like, nothing is coming to mind that opponent would ever have to stop this attack, though. I guess you could have something like Steel Tempest, but adding a adding a small Daybreak unit to the board won't stop that. Go. GG. It's interesting to see things like tokens turn up. Like the big deck on the rise, at least this weekend, is the the Seraphine Wiggly Burblefish deck. You can pick it up on Runeterra, runeterra.ar. It's got Seraphine, Twisted Fate, maybe Ezreal, but it's looking to kind of function like the Twisted Fate Fizz decks of old, with the Wiggly Burblefish and getting that spell, and then now copying that spell with Seraphine. It's been a real gem, but I'm curious in the sense that with seeing decks like Tokens turn up, how that deck could manage itself against a deck like Tokens. Probably poorly. Poorly sounds about like the right amount of interactivity it would have there, but Tokens is always just such a super polarized deck that it doesn't have a lot of opportunity to shine in the meta. All right, well, reasonable enough turns here. We're going to want to be kind of careful with this Pale Cascade. We would like to perhaps pop a barrier, if that's what it comes down to, given that opponents out here with Shen Jarvan. I assume that this is a very barrier-heavy deck. Here's Shen with his barrier, but we don't have to come in and attack into this. The thing is, I don't really want to burn Unspeakable Horror on Fleet Feather Tracker. Right, we're gonna get a much more high value target like Shen or whatever Shen is trying to boost. That's not particularly nice. This will be so much better if we just had one more mana. All right, well, I don't really like advertising that we're putting a ton of damage onto his Shen, but I want to get some damages on here. Like, if we can keep him from adding to the board now, because he's like, oh, fuck, my Shen is weak, I can't attack with him, then it should leave us in a decent space. Leona's good now. She's going to boost our Sun Guardian, so if he does want to attack with the bird this turn, it can only take down the Duskbringer. Very nice collection of friends here. This is what I was attempting to talk about with this deck here at the beginning, is you don't have to be like really aggressive with our deck. You can look to just build up this board, and then once we get all these stats, we can win with the Winding Light at some point. That attack there really kind of surprises me. That one felt pretty aggressive, but oh, the Winding Light just turns up. I think I'm okay with that. Like, we can get away from so much next turn just by having the Moonlit Affliction in hand, right? If he's trying to make these barrier challenges, we can still just silence away the barrier and probably get a pretty good combat. I think this is good here. He's going to have to kind of pick and choose a lot of shitty blocks with his board.
Answer to me.
Understood.
Shen gets a good block, but the dragon does not. The opponent's going to fall to 1. I'm okay with that. We're in this space to where he should have to add something to the board next turn. Like, just attacking with Shen isn't really enough to win the game. And if we get the double stuns with Ravoon or the single stun, I should say, with Ravoon and Leona, taking pretty far ahead. This is just where I'd be playing the Katarina deck and you go, cool, decimate. We can't quite do it here. Can't quite do it here. Alright, so that was fun. Can't interact with the Shen positively though, and so we at least get to take down the big collection of dudes there. And now as we roll into this next turn with the Sunhawk for the stun and Diana and the Glenkeeper, we should be able to punch in 3 damage pretty easily. Even picking up the second Moonlit Affliction for a little bit more of the easies, you know? I do like them easies.
Find your own light within the darkness.
Yours is the light I cherish, Moon Sister.
You're covered.
Curious if we should ever just attack now. Like, we can, like, Moonlit Affliction both of these 2 dudes and then hit for 6. That feels kind of safe, but it feels like it leaves us open to, like, depending on how wrong things go, it leaves us open to not having enough stuff to do next turn. I don't feel like things are going to go too wrong from this point forward, but there is the potential for problems there.
No more lies. Face your heretic.
If he's got like a single combat here, he single combats the Tasty Feyfolk into the Sunhawk, gains 4. We're not winning the game at that point, and I do want to have the Moonlit Affliction for next turn just in case. If he plays another Feyfolk and gets a barrier attack in with Shen or some shit, you know, it's all gonna it's all gonna be for the makings of a bad day. You not just win this game? What? Don't we deal? Oh no, he gains the health right now. Okay. I was thinking in terms of single combat as like, shouldn't we deal the 4 damage before? Or we wouldn't even deal the 4 damage before the strike happens. But this is okay. So yeah, I got Moonlit Affliction number 2 for you, my friend. You weren't expecting 2, were you? Always a great target for excitement here with the silences and the Petricite Broadwing taking away the Formidables. Pretty big as well, but we're most certainly gonna like just boom this combat. This is gonna go so poorly for opponent. It's about to go real poorly, and he hooks Diana in with the bird and not the Feyfolk. That's beautiful. I love seeing it. Oh, the Feyfolk doesn't even. I'm losing it today. I gotta eat a sandwich or something. My my brain's losing its abilities. This is still fine though. We'll be okay.
Tell no one what you see.
You cannot hold us down.
All right, let's see how opponent handles this turn. We'll take our point of damage and kill everything else. Sounds pretty good to me. Man, we just got everything now. It's like I don't want to I don't want to waste the double stuns from our Leona and stuff, but I don't feel like it's gonna matter. Game should be done from this point forward. Eclipse Dragon. This is the joy of Eclipse Dragon and playing this with Aurelian Soul. I miss it. You play the Eclipse Dragon on 7 with the Daybreak and play Aurelian Soul on 8. I've been kind of like looking at the potential of bringing that in, or just doing the thing where you play like three Leona, 2 Diana, and 1 Aurelian Soul just to have access to it. Just like this game's been okay because our Nightfall pickups were pretty good. We got to get Ravoon on board and everything, and hitting like Eclipse Dragon and generating more cards. This is what I was kind of talking about in the previous game, is where I feel like I want just like a little bit touch more value, and we aren't quite getting it from the cards here, and so seems like an opponent has given up. They put their phone in the toilet. They see Bust FTP on YT coming at him. Says, "Oh no, that is too much. Let's just attack." I was looking to add everything else. I kind of assumed if opponent didn't leave, we would Leona their next unit and then follow up with the bird, and then the bird's going to get both the Daybreak and the Nightfall because we have Ravoon on the board. But yeah, whatever. We'll just send it in. If they magically come back and have some kind of trick to prolong this game, then by all means, you did it. You did it, Mr. Anani Moose. All right, GG. It's so annoying that I have to use Bust FTP on YouTube. Like, there's so much stuff that you don't know whenever you say, "Oh man, I'm gonna start doing that whole content creation thing. Let's get excited and start doing that." And I got the name FTP Bust. You don't realize that when you go to YouTube and then like you've done it for however long it takes to actually like unlock the named channel. Like typically you make the YouTube channel and then you just get to be whatever like string of characters that it decides your name should be at the end, and then after you've fucked around on YouTube for like 6 months or something, then you get to put that full channel name at the end as to whatever you wanted it to be. And they won't let you put FTP at the beginning, because if you go to like a website and it's http://wwws, like that's an internet thing. There's another one that's FTP, and they were afraid that if you had like FTP at the beginning of the names, that you would use that as a means to try and deceive people into clicking on something they shouldn't be clicking on. And so it's like I can't use FTP bust as the name on YouTube, and so it has to be bust FTP, unlike it is everywhere else. Kind of annoying, kind of upset about it, but you know, we've made it this far. I've got through it up to this point, and so kind of is what it is. All right, in terms of this game, a little bit worried about the Aatrox Cane. They should be able to, mid-game fairly powerfully. We have to come out and do it the old school way, the hard way, to where, excuse me, I'm losing my voice today. We have to do it the old way, where you have to just naturally draw the cards that you're wanting to play and draw them in the right order. The opponent gets to just play cultists and draw Cane, and then they get to just play equipment and draw Aatrox, and then in the event of just playing the Aatrox, you get to just draw your late game card. They have it so much easier than the way we're trying to go about this, but I'll try my best. I'm not going to let that be what takes it away from us here. All right, well, we can get bigger than the Keeper of the Box. The scary thing with Keeper of the Box is going to be his ability to play, what do you call the cultist combat trick to get up to 6 power. We can ideally just fight through it now that we've got this 6 toughness Sun Guardian and then the Pale Cascade in hand. It should be actually a pretty big blowout if he attacks, because if he's attacking, he most certainly has the card. So let's throw our block forward. He's going to play the +2 attack. We're going to say that's cool. I'm going to play my Pale Cascade. That should hopefully buy us quite a bit of tempo. LOL. Did you all enjoy that? Did you enjoy the play that just happened there? All right, GG. I hope I don't lose my voice. It's like in Kansas City over Christmas, we had like ridiculous weather. It was just hanging out at like 0 degrees, and then that's 0 degrees in America units, not 0 degrees in Europe units, and so it's a little bit chillier in freedom units when you're getting to 0, because you are well below freezing. But then we also had this really nice wind chill that was I'm trying to consider what we want to keep here. I like the birds against Pantheon, but like the Glenkeeper seems kind of interesting. We should get to use him on turn 4, but I don't think he's gonna actually kill enough stuff. But then no, with like the wind chill, it was getting into like the -20s and the -30s, and it just like really messed with the humidity levels, and it really messed with my sinuses. It was like I didn't have like bloody sinuses, but it was like just completely empty. And then once the weather kind of turned around, they got all bloody. And so I was like, I don't know if I had a sinus infection or something, but at the end of the day, I've had a case of the bloody boogers for like 2 weeks. Not too much info there. I know everyone wanted to hear that. And so I was worried I had a sinus infection that kind of affects your ability to make the YouTube videos. We'll make it through. You can say, Bust, thanks for the info. I wanted that I wanted that taste of the inside of your life. All All right, but not a bad spot here. I mean, opponent may be able to take down Diana. I'm kind of fine with it if they do. It's not the biggest deal in the world. We're doing our daybreak thing. We're punching in. We're getting those damages in. Hopefully we can pick up a winding light to finish this game off with.
Our light grows brighter.
All right, make him spend the mana. He most certainly has another well, maybe not. He's I'm used to playing against Pantheon with Demacia, as to where they have sharp sights and chain vests and rallies and the like. It's a little bit different going up against the Bard version here. Okay. Fine, dude. It's like I kind of wanted to get in there just because our hand doesn't do anything, right? And so if we Unto Dusk to cycle and then play the Pale Cascade, we can make some work of the next turn. Now it's like we just have to pass. But I think it's okay. We can still get a pretty reasonable round of stuff. Well, shit, this is such a pain. We can't even play the bird next turn because we want the sapling. I don't like it, man. I don't know. But it's just like he has 6 mana. It's so easy for them to have another combat trick there and just completely shut us out. Also, now we're giving up that Unto Dusk with the Winding Light, where we just picked up the Duskbringer, and so on this next attack, we could have looked to... You play the Petal, you play the Winding Light comes down and Nightfalls, and then you do another +2/+1 to give all of your units that nice bonus. And we just missed out on it, fam. I don't know. I don't know about this game.
Night descends. Face your heretic.
All right, well, let's go for this, though. We lose a couple of dudes, it's okay. We can pretty easily refill our board. Hopefully next turn we'll be able to just like Sunhawk before Pantheon gets to attack. Pantheon, not even really that scary. He's probably going to go up to 2 ticks this round with a gem, but he's nowhere near flipping, and so I don't give him a super amount of respect here.
Flowers upon my blade.
The promise of a
You don't even really need to stun him.
tender.
Probably going to. Don't get me wrong, but you don't. It's not a huge necessity. Coming at you. So the thing that you typically worry about with the likes of these Pantheon decks is the opponent's ability to be like, okay, well, you know, here's a Cataclysm. Right, here comes Pantheon for a second attack so that he gets to do his Overwhelm twice. The opponent shouldn't be able to do that with this Targon deck, and so we are going to have to fight through a mountain of stats next turn, but I don't think we have to worry about Pantheon killing us. So we can both Sunhawk and Winding Light next turn. So let's do this. Let's Ravoon. Right, we'll have the 3 bank. We can play the Sunhawk. That's going to take us down to 6 natural mana, right? At that point, you wouldn't normally be able to... you wouldn't be able to play the Winding Light, but we'll have the spell mana with the Dusk Petal to let us get another one on board. Okay. Let's give it a shot. Alright, here comes a bunch of stats. That's going to flip our Diana. She can be pretty useful here as well. Just hooking in whatever the opponent's smallest unit is. We're going to play a Pale Cascade this combat, so that'll give her another +2 attack if we want it. See what we can do. Got to deal 8 damage, but man, his board is so big. It's scary. I'm a little scared, you know. Not big scared, just a little scared, but... Gonna have a good block with the blind. Maybe the Blinded Mystics, probably who are gonna need to hook in. That's pretty nasty. He's got the 2 units capable of... Right, I was hoping it's like, well, if he doesn't have another unit, we can hook the Blinded Mystic, and then get the Overwhelm, and then he's going to have to put his big units in front of our big units, but doesn't seem like that's going to quite come together.
No more lies. I will be heard.
All right, I think we got to go for it, though.
I cannot.
If he's making these blocks, this is great, right? Oh, that's not great. Hang on. I wanted to put his 2 health units in front of our Overwhelms. Okay.
Cloaked in silver light.
Did we get there, fam? It says neg 10 into 8. No combat tricks, please. F. Ooh, we got him for exacties. No, not with fucking Bard on board. Okay, we still got him. The Bard chime wasn't enough. Oof. GG. Not bad. That's close. But hopefully, that should have been less close, right? Ideally, we would have sequenced that a little bit better. That was a little sloppy there in the mid game, but took it down. All right. Final battle is upon us. Game number 8 is here. Let's see what we can do. Echo once posted an invitation to a time traveler's dinner in a local Piltover newsletter. The meal date was set 2 days before the posting, but after placing the ad, Echo forgot about it. Zillion was very upset. The time traveler's dilemma, you know? I hate time travel so much. It's the only way I can stomach time travel is when you have it in the sense that only affects the person from their point of view. And so the idea with time travel is, so if you say look at like Back to the Future, it for the most part only affects Marty, right? And so it's like Marty does stuff. Marty's like family are fading out of the picture, but the family doesn't really seem to be aware that they're like fading out and not really becoming a part of it, and so they aren't a piece of the time travel conundrum. But the thing I really don't like and can't stand is when it's like some time travel thing just kind of goes and rewrites history, but then it still affects other people's point of view.
We will resist.
And so you can go watch the fucking Lake House if you want. Such a such a shitty movie. I don't want anyone to feel like I just suggested that you go and watch the Lake House, but you know, if that's where you find yourself in life, maybe. You say, I scroll through Reddit a lot, and Keanu Reeves sounds like a really cool guy. Maybe I should watch the Lake House movie that he's a part of. That was a mistake on your part. That was a mistake.
A bit underdressed.
All right, but let's see what we can get going here. We could have looked to say like actively add the Diana this turn and try to get some good hooks going from there, but I like just building up the stats on the Sun Guardian and then trying to save her for a little bit of a safer moment. Now a pretty cool pickup with the Sunhawk. Nice addition there. Let's go ahead and add in Diana. We may end up activating her on this upcoming turn. Definitely playing Ravoon, but see if we can't find a good hook with her Daybreak in the Pale Cascade. If not, 2 turns from now, we can look to build up to the Winding Light. We got this same collection of stuff, right? We have the Winding Light, the Dust Petal Dust, the Unto Dusk, and so we should be able to play all of them if we 3-bank on the next turn. Seems pretty reasonable to me.
Cloaked in silver light.
And this is fine. Like, we're nowhere near getting OTK'd by Gwen, right? You have to worry once you start to kill off these Fallen Reckoners and they get resummoned and stuff. He's at Hallowed 1, and so he's not going to be hitting us for, like, 17 next turn. I think this is all pretty good and safe, and we should be able to build into the Winding Light fairly easily. Sure, he's not adding to the board. This is not a place where you want to be playing card advantage. So we should be good. We can add the Sun Guardian on this upcoming turn. Not scared of Gwen. We can take whatever damage she has to bring. Next turn we can Winding Light onto Dusk. Hopefully call it a day. Finally get that one big boom in for the game, right? We haven't had any of these big, overwhelming, and monstrous booms with the Winding Lights. And so I do love me a big play. Okay, we're probably safe from things like Ravenous Flock, right? Well, maybe not. I was going to say, like, it feels like if he's going to hit us with a Ravenous Flock, he probably just stuns the Sun Guardian or even stuns Diana at this point, but doesn't seem to be, excuse me, doesn't seem to be the way this game's going. Want to block with Diana. You need to swap your units around too, friend. Uh-oh. You missed out on those sweet Gwen values. All right, let's just make sure we don't die. I figure if we go into the next turn, we should be okay. If he has a card to, power through one of these combats, it's not that big of a deal. So I feel pretty safe now. We're just going to get thousands upon thousands of stats. Everything's going to be good. Okay, so we played our Heavens Align first. Boost the Sun Guardians. We have the mana to still unto Dusk, so we might as well get the additional stats there. Now we can unto Dusk our friend. Get the millions upon millions of stats here. Get that final attack in. Get the victory. Say GG. Thanks for hanging out with FTP Bust. 49 coming at you. That's a pretty big number. I did the mathematics on that number, and it was pretty big. All right. So, GG. Not a bad set of battles. We can stop and talk about this just a little bit more. And so, in terms of this deck, I don't like it better than the Noxan version. And so that could just be in large part the style of deck that I like to play. But if we have a couple of things upcoming that you need to really kind of think about in terms of these Leona decks. The thing number one is we should be getting a patch a couple days from now. This video should come out on Monday. The patch notes should come out on Tuesday. And that's usually the big patch that does a couple of things, right? It gets you kind of prepared for the next set. Riot has kind of historically boosted a lot of cards from the old sets, and so like before, I can't remember what the example I like to use, but here, like recently when like the Kennen updates came in at one of these kind of tail end patches, and then there was some recall stuff in the next set, and so as a way to kind of get ready for the next set, they usually make some kind of updates to cards that weren't really relevant in the existing meta, or things that could be more exciting as the new cards come out. Now we are about to like hit with rotation, and so I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of changes and a lot of shakeups didn't happen until rotation. It's very easy to say like, well, this is kind of the end of the era. Let's not make a lot of updates and then just make a big massive change when that happens. And so I'm kind of like up in the air on what will happen there, but typically you see a lot of changes. But the thing that I was really wanting to stop and talk about is, as we're about to come up on seasonals, there is usually a lot of balanced stuff prior to seasonals happening. And I think that Leona is one of these archetypes that can very likely dodge the nerfs. And I do think if nerfs come in, it would be something to like Crimson Pigeon or to something like Reveler's Feast, and not necessarily to Leona. Leona and Ravoon and Sun Guardian and all of the Daybreak cards were just updated maybe like 4 months ago. They were all boosted, and so it doesn't seem like they're going to be like, well, we need to tone that kind of down. And so I feel like as we come into this upcoming patch that Leona has the opportunity to be right at the very top. And the kind of second piece to where this whole divergence was going is the Shadow Isles versions of Leona absolutely murder the Noxan versions. I don't know if they're turning up on the stats to the right. I don't quite see it over here. Here we go. I needed to look at the positive win rates instead of the negatives. When you can see the 70% win rate against the Katarina version of this deck, which is currently the most popular one, and the one that I suspect is going to be popular in the upcoming days. And so you do have a lot of potential for Diana to skyrocket to the top, and then kind of picking and choosing what the best Diana deck looks like. And so what I'm looking to say here with this is in terms of the Diana version. I believe these were the Celesbians, if you will. I'm not the hugest fan of the way that all of these cards interact. I do like that there are some combos between saying the Twilight Protector has both Daybreak and Nightfall, the Heavens Aligned have them both. Then you get to kind of tie that in with both Diana and Ravoon. You get a lot of interesting and strong combos that way, but this deck, when you're not playing that really heavy early game package, right, as we're playing the Noxan versions, you have the Legion Rearguards, the Crimson Pigeons, and then you have the Burn package, and so you have a much more aggressively oriented start. This deck doesn't have enough quality cheap plays to come out and do that, and so I feel like this deck wants to be much more aggressive than it actually is, but the cards that would allow it to do that don't quite exist. And so what I think this deck probably needs to do is move over towards Aphelios. And Aphelios does solve some of the problems as we are out here complaining about not having anything to do in the mid game. Aphelios just gives you something to do forever, and so he should be quite strong there. He's quite strong with the Winding Light. He just gives you a really strong game plan that answers all of your problems, right? If you're getting out aggroed, then you can gain like 8 health off of a life steal onto a Sun Guardian. Or if you need to close out the game, but you haven't drawn the Winding Light and we're not playing rallies, you can spread out overwhelms. Or if you need to get a board built up to use the Winding Light, you can do the summon and 2-cost unit thing. And so Aphelios does have like a lot of problem solving in here. I just don't like playing Aphelios decks, and so I mean it is what it is, and so I think that's probably a thing to look forward to as a really big thing in this upcoming meta is kind of keying in on something like Aphelios Leona. But in terms of this deck in particular, the thing that I like to call out with this one that you don't see across all the decks is I think you really need 3 copies of the Winding Light. So many of these games can be incredibly challenging to win if you don't have the big overwhelm bonus coming through. And I even found in a lot of constructed games you might need 2 of these. And so I highly, highly recommend playing the full 3 copies of the Winding Light. And then with this deck list in particular that we're playing here, I would look towards just like a little bit more value. I can definitely see cutting out these Moonlit Glenkeepers. They were okay, but they weren't spectacular. I would not want Doom Beast in this place. I would be looking towards something like one of the Invoke units, whether or not the Daybreak one or the Nightfall one, I don't know, but that's where I would like start to look towards. But when we start to make words like this, to where it's like, okay, I want to cut the Moonlit Glenkeeper for more mid-rangey and more value-based cards, that cuts us exactly away from the strategy that we thought that we wanted with this Diana deck, right? When you're saying, well, this deck feels like it needs to be more aggressive, it needs to take advantage of the early game better, but it doesn't have the cards to do it. How do you fix your early game into being more aggressive is not adding Daybreak Invoke units. And so I feel like with this deck in particular, maybe the meta could shift a little bit to where it's kind of okay, but I think that Diana is just a little bit too fragile. The strategies are just a little bit too far apart, and you're probably looking a little bit more towards just wanting to play Aphelios or even Aurelian Soul over top of these Nightfall cards. And so, good stuff. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.